Yeah, so with our foundation courses, in terms of intakes, it depends on the pathway you wish to undergo. So I think we have over 10 different sort of foundation pathways. So they cover all sorts of areas: computer science, creative arts subjects, education, engineering, law, life and medical science. So you can get onto most programs at the university through one of our foundations. There really is a broad scope for that. Most of the pathways will be 2 entry points. I think there would be sort of autumn and January, and then some will have a May as well, I believe.
I see. And they have also September, I think, yeah? September.
Yeah, so that would be, I don't know if they've made an October intake as well, or if they're sticking to September at the moment, but yeah, in autumn, September or October as well, yeah.
And also, I think the students can get like a 4 years visa with that joint case, yeah?
Yeah. So there'll be 4-year visas available for students if they're undertaking that pathway, yeah. Okay,
so don't need to go back to after finishing the first year. So it'll be like integrated case for the students, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, thank you. For undergraduate courses, Tom, so is there any placement year or study abroad, as well as the interview requirements and the application process for the undergraduate, Tom?
Yeah. So funnily enough, most of our undergraduate courses can be offered as a sandwich year. And so what that means, for those of you that don't know, is that a sandwich year, you study your first 2 years of university, and then in place of your third year, you could do either a year abroad at another one of our partnered institutions across the globe. We've got partner institutions on every continent, except Antarctica, obviously. So you could go, so long as there's a relevant partner university in the region you wish to study in as part of your year abroad for your subject, you'd be able to study nearly anywhere in the world for that year abroad. But then alternatively, instead of a study year abroad, you could do a placement year. So this is obviously quite a popular option for students, both undergraduate and postgraduate, where postgraduate we have a number of placement courses as well. But then with undergraduate, you come back and do your final year after that 4th year of your either your placement or your study abroad year. And we do have facilities at the university to help support students find those work placements. So we have careers teams with resources available 24/7 for students. And obviously there's a lot of resources within each school of study for institutions that we either work with or that we know regularly look for placements in the local area. Our master's level courses are extremely popular at our university, particularly with our integrated placement courses. So these courses span across our School of Humanities, so it includes subjects like politics and international relations. They span across the business school and also the computer science subjects within the engineering and computer science school. So these integrated placement courses are 2-year master degrees, and they work rather than split by year, they'll be split by semester. So you do your first 2 semesters, and assuming that you've managed to secure a placement with our help and also meet the minimum requirements, which include gaining a 60% overall in your course so far, you'll be able to go on to a year work placement, followed by coming back and doing your final semester. So that means your master's would be 2 years instead of 1, although it's obviously only 1 year fees, and that 1 year of that is actually you working within the industry of your choice. And so those courses are very, very popular. So, subjects like international business, international relations, and then a whole assortment of computer science related courses like cybersecurity have that option. And then those subjects lead quite nicely on to our new MBA that's coming out for international students. So this MBA is going to be available for international students from January 2021. And this is an MBA where the requirements wouldn't necessarily include things like work experience. So it's a very accessible MBA with lots of different pathways. And for students that have studied at Hertfordshire already, it's also designed to work quite nicely as a follow-on from those integrated master programs. So, if you've done international business with a one-year placement, that would lead very nicely on to the MBA that will be available for students this January.
Yeah. So we can touch a little bit about the PhD at home. PhD, normally we get lots of inquiries from the Middle East, lots of students, brother. And they always ask the proper way to apply, that whether we should contact with the supervisor, whether an existing project group. So what would be your suggestion for them?
In terms of applying?
Yeah, applying for the PhD.
Yeah, so first and foremost, in terms of applying, if you get in touch with TCL, they'll be able to help walk you through and look after each stage of your application process. So I really would recommend making the most of TCL Global with your application process, as they can make the process run as smoothly as possible. For the students, obviously there are some things that students will need to take lead on that TCL can't. I think the main thing of that is the gathering of sort of your standard requirements and your documents. So we do have a list of the standard required documents on our website. So I'll just read those off for students now, so you get an idea of what we would need or what you would need to provide to TCL. So we need some form of English language qualification. We'd need your academic transcripts and certificates. We'd need 1 or 2 references, and this depends on your level of study. So if you're studying undergraduate, 1 reference, 1 academic reference, and if you're studying for postgraduate, we'd need 2 academic references, but we can substitute one of those for a work reference. We'd need a personal statement. So our personal statements, the personal statement you'd need to provide would need to cover 4 main points. And those are your reason for applying to the course, your reason for applying to the University of Hertfordshire specifically, your reason for applying to a UK university, and your career aspirations and how the course fits in with these. You'd also need to provide a copy of your passport photo page. We would also provide you with an immigration history questionnaire, which you'd need to fill out. And then for certain courses, we also need ATAS certificates and DBS checks. The DBS checks are finalised when you're here in the UK, but we do sometimes need like a letter of good conduct from your local police and things like that, just to confirm that.
Thank you. And also, how many, I think it's a flexible intake, isn't it, for PhD, yeah?
Pardon?
Flexible intake for PhD to start, yeah. How many intakes for PhD?
I wouldn't off the top of my head, unfortunately. The best thing to do for that would be to look, if you find the relevant section of our website for the area that you're looking to study in, because they can vary. That would be the best way of finding that out, definitely.
Thank you. Good, another question, MOI, minimum instructions, English. So does the Hertfordshire accept?
MOI. What does MOI stand for, sorry?
It's a minimum instruction. So if they study in English medium, like the study was the minimum instruction was English. So whether you will accept that instead of the IELTS?
If I'm honest, it's not something I've heard of. Hence, I need clarification on what it was. So
I think maybe it's very known things in South Asia, in Bangladesh.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't deal with South Asia, unfortunately, so that's not something I can comment on. Sorry.
I know that if anybody graduates from the English-speaking country, like from America, Australia, Canada.
Okay. So in that case, we would still need some form of English language qualification, but that comes in the form of like an IGCSE, or if they've done the American system. Even if they've done the American system in, say, Qatar, Kuwait, Saudi, if they've done the American system in any country and they've hit the relevant entry requirements for English, then we can accept that. So even UK home students, so like I came to this university and I had to show that I got a C at GCSE English. So even home students have to show proficiency in English language, and we have to show the exact same level that international students would show. The main scholarships that we offer for international students are the Vice Chancellor scholarships. So they range between £1,000 and £4,000, and they're offered out on a competitive basis. So we would look for students with good academic grades and good personal statements. But what I would say is it's not solely done on academic grades by any means. So it's not, if you get, for example, 3 A's at A level, you're guaranteed a scholarship. It doesn't work like that. We need to see that your personal statement's good as well. So make sure you cover those 4 points that I mentioned. Those 4 points are outlined on the website. And because you can apply to us directly and not necessarily through UCAS if you don't want to, that does mean that you can tailor a personal statement specifically to Hertfordshire, because obviously it's not being sent to any other universities. So if you want to be considered for one of those scholarships, and you're going through TCL, you just need to ask them to request your consideration. We do consider all students upon their initial application, but if you have been unsuccessful, you can get in touch with us again and request reviewing again for one of those scholarships, which, like I say, range between £1,000 and £4,000.